New season. Still breathing.
And what a season it's been.
What a fucking season it's been, Joey Blaze.
It's a crazy Spence from start to finish. And we're only halfway through.
What's good,
We're not even technically halfway through. Brunswick just played their third game.
Blood Talk in the building. We live, baby.
We live. We back. So, guys, tell me, how was your weekend?
I don't even remember.
Fairly good. Fairly good.
Fairly good.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad time.
Wasn't it a bad time?
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't. It
All
wasn't
right.
too shabby.
Not too shabby.
Not too
I'll
shabby
tell
at
you,
all.
You know, it was a great weekend in the Washington County Flag Football League.
It was a historical weekend in the Washington County Flag Football League.
A weekend that we truly will never forget.
Historical, legendary.
Let's take a look at the results that happened. Let's start out with the 10:30 a.m. kickoff. That was X-Dogs and Spartans, a game where we felt like the Spartans had a shot. But at the end of the day, 20-12 was the final between those two.
That was a crazy game, man. That was a thriller.
Yeah, they had.
I think that one shocked a lot of people. Well, there wasn't a lot of people there, to be honest with you.
No.
10:30 game. Everybody was sleeping in.
Mm-hmm. But the Spartans and X-Dogs were not, as both teams laid it all on the field. And
Yeah, it was a great game,
it
man.
was. And
it
you
was
know
a
what?
battle to be seen for sure.
The Spartans had so many opportunities to win.
I had them winning. They could have won that game. Believe it or not, it's not trolling, whatever you might think. They could have won that game.
They had plenty of opportunities.
Plenty of opportunities.
I recall a first down and goal to the 20 where they lost 21 straight yards on sacks and penalties.
And that is unacceptable.
They were down to the 41 Spence. There was 4th and goal from the 41 at one point of that drive.
That's a long way to go. Let's
X-Dogs.
put your back against the wall without a kicker.
Yeah.
Don Brown might as well kick.
They need
I
some.
think he could do it.
They had Tim Miller at the beginning of the season.
I don't know.
And now it seems like
somebody. There's got to be an athlete on there who can just at least try.
it doesn't hurt to try at this point. It's really hindering their offense and their ability to put
Well,
up
let's-
points,
let's not
especially in the red zone.
Let's not overlook the fact that X-Dogs is now still undefeated.
And they have clinched their spot in the A bracket.
Convincingly, with the lack of a lot of players.
Yeah.
Small team.
They've been playing close ball all season, however. You got to think about it. They haven't really blown anybody out except for the Red Knights.
Touche.
You think back the Warriors game, 3 points. The Broadax game, 3 points. The Ruckus game, I want to say that was a touchdown, right? That was 5 points. 12-7 was the final of that one.
Close.
Spartans X-Dogs, 8 points.
Close games.
They've only beaten the Red Knights, I believe, by double digits, and that's it.
Touche.
So,
shit.
something to look at going forward. But, you know, the Spartans with this loss eliminated from A bracket contention with their 5th loss of the season. They become the second team to
I'm
be
just kidding.
eliminated
That
from
sucks.
A bracket contention. The other team being the Red Knights. So there are 7 teams who are still competitive. And it's interesting to see as we go on this month what teams stand out the most.
What was the second game of the day?
It was Ruckus beating Broadax 34-14.
Upset alert.
Major upset alert, and it was something that Chris Boone called here last week.
I called it. I wasn't here. I wasn't on the show, but I told you it was going to happen. We talked about it. I told you so. TJ Williams had a phenomenal day. Derek Dehaney had a phenomenal day.
I believe they had 3 touchdowns together
Derek
combined.
Dehaney had 3 touchdowns on his own. I don't know. TJ threw 2 to him. And did he run one in himself? Because I know Dehaney had 3. It was a great game. Great day.
Yeah, it was an excellent game. Fantastic one from start to finish for Ruckus. Ruckus just dominated Broadax throughout it, and they made Timmy Townsend look really human in that game. That was arguably his worst performance
I
so
tell
far.
you what, they had a lot of drop passes for Broadax. A lot of drop passes in that first half that could have swung the momentum a little bit. Probably kept it a little closer before it got out of hand. At that point, they were fighting uphill battle, and well, you see the scoreboard. The scoreboard definitely indicates the way that game played out.
And
Ruckus earned that win 100%.
And that really hurt Broadax because you consider the fact that Broadax is a running football team. They like to run the ball.
They shut that shit down.
They did.
I didn't see a lot of run. Wasn't a lot. Well, you're not able to run when you're down.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
let's
took
just
that
be
away
honest.
from them.
Let's
That's
be
what I'm
honest.
saying. Ruckus did a good job taking that away from them.
And TJ had all day to throw.
Yeah.
All day. I mean, like,
We were wondering how that Broad Axe defense would fare against TJ, and at the end,
Hold on, I still got time. Yeah, it was that real. It was that real. He was in the pocket. I mean, at one point, I don't even know if anyone was rushing. It just seemed like he had a bubble of plastic, like bubble wrap around him. He just, man, I don't know what happened. Broad Axe's defense got exposed.
badly.
Cover 2 is looking a little suspect. I'm sure we'll catch a little flack for talking down on the big blue, but it is what it is. I mean, Ruckus, don't get me wrong. Townsend made some great plays. He had a couple of great passes. That guy is super fast. I just want to put it out there. If you guys have not seen Broad Axe quarterback play yet, that kid
Can move.
he's a fucking cheetah in the jungle. I'm trying to tell you, it is tough to catch him. I saw a couple guys get to the point where they were a hand's length away, arm's reach, and he just turned on the Jets out of nowhere and was gone. But, once again, to that point, Ruckus played a full game front to back. They had several interceptions, I think. A couple picks.
They picked them
Couple
off.
picks.
They stopped the run. They
Field
played
goal.
an all-around perfect game.
They
And
did
they
everything. You know what?
They
Ruckus
even kicked the
played-
ball this week.
I think this is probably the most love we've given Ruckus in a while. They need it because that was the game they need to play for the rest of the season. And
Yeah.
I think they'll be just fine. I don't think there's anything else to say. If
And
they
you know
played
what
that
was-
way for the rest of the year, they'll be just
And
fine.
you know what was interesting? Watching them utilize their kicking game. Rupert was
Rupert
not
kicked
just
off as
Rupert
well.
kicked off,
Field
yeah.
position was a hell of a tool. They started 1st and 20. Second time was 1st and long.
He
I
had
mean,
good kicks, too.
He was upsetting himself on the second one, but it was a damn good kick.
He
And
kicked it well.
I'm here to tell you, it's been a fact and proven multiple times this year that being able to kick off and field position can and will win you ball games, along with doing everything else you need to do. But that definitely fucking helped.
It did in the big, big way. Broad Axe was not ready for that, and it really affected them as they were not able to move the ball as efficiently as they were in previous games. That also cuts out the run game. Those 1st and 5s become 1st and 18 instead, or 1st and 13.
Or more.
And if you get a stop, you stop to run the first 2 plays. What did they got on
Second
third
and long,
down?
Third and long, kicking team in the field.
Mm-hmm. And that's what Ruckus did. They played an excellent game on all 3 facets of it and got the win at the end of the day.
Indeed, indeed.
As we move on to the 3rd game of the day, the one I think everybody saw coming, Brunswick 9, Adrenaline Rush 0.
The one everyone's. Yeah, it was a free movie. Fucking highlight classic.
The first time ADR has been shut out in league play. Mind you, it was
Ever?
Ever.
That's a fun fact. We haven't discussed that one.
First time they had ever been shut out. Going back to the TMT days.
For real?
Yeah.
Damn.
Brunswick is the only team to do it, and albeit one could argue that a lot of it was our ADR dressing 12, but
That's wild.
they had a lot of key guys there. Cannon was there, Dane was there, Jacob Mitchell was there. He started the quarterback, and he had a bad game, 3 interceptions.
Coley was there.
Coley was there,
AJ was there.
AJ, yeah. A lot of pieces were there, but the team itself just did not play its best game.
All right, I'm gonna head out. It's like, damn, son. It is what it is. You're gonna get some excuses, but at the end of the day, Brunswick won that fucking football game.
And they stepped up in the
They
biggest
sure
way.
did.
You got to give credit to Ian Fisher for game managing that game very well.
Game management, 100%.
Brian Swagger had a big field goal made during the game.
A huge field goal.
Yeah.
Huge field goal. I mean, that actually really puts the pressure on because now it's not just, okay, ADR can score and take the lead. It's, fuck, they got to score, get the onside kick, if not, make a stop, and then score again. So, kudos to those guys. I mean, you've been hearing it all week, but it really is a testament to, the time and effort that those guys in Brunswick have put in. And, regardless of what they dressed, we already say it every time, any given Saturday, Sunday, when you dress up, you go out there and you play with what you got. And Brunswick won that game, man. It
Yeah.
was a historic day.
Yeah, we-
Broad Axe and ADR lost in the same day.
And that has never happened in league play.
That's first.
That is a first, yeah.
That's
An
first.
insane day it was.
It was a wild Saturday.
And it culminated in a final game between Warriors and Program, which,
a battle.
what a battle it was from start to finish.
That was a good one.
10-6 was the final there. Warriors led them, for the most part, 10-0 until the Program scored late in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter. and they almost had a second touchdown until it was called back, albeit I think it was the right call.
Yeah, it was the right call.
It was the right
They were in
call.
hurry up mode. A couple wide receivers went set, specifically the one who caught the ball.
Mhm.
But-
We were talking about this before the show, and Ezra made the right call. And like I said, shout out to Ezra. He did. He
definitely-
pulled his flag out
he
for it.
definitely
Anybody
had the
said
flag
anything.
first.
As soon as they hiked the ball, I looked right at Ezra, and he was pulling the flag out. And he was like, I just want to see what everybody
And of
said
course-
before I threw it.
And of course, he'll probably get some shit because he's Ross and can't count sacks, but
True.
it's still a true statement.
But
Because
it is a true statement.
when the play happened, I turned around and was yelling like, "You better
They-
call that
they
shit!"
made the right
He already
call.
had his hand on the
Yeah.
flag. So, but man,
He's ready to go.
10-6.
Shout out to the ref.
I don't even know how they did it. I mean, they stopped the offense. They did a damn good
Yeah.
job
It
defensively.
turned out to be a
It was,
lot closer
it
than what I was
was a
thinking.
much better game than anyone anticipated.
Program brought out all kinds of people too, though.
They were ready
And
for that
Smith.
game. Program put up a
And
fight.
Smith out
And
there wearing
Smith
the Warriors
debuted
jersey.
today.
And Smith wearing a jersey saying Warriors on it while playing the Warriors.
Oh, the old school Warriors. That's the
Yeah.
fake Warriors.
The 8-man Warriors or
Oh
whatever it is.
man, yeah. Ed
Mhm.
Smith made his program debut. He balled out for real. He didn't give nobody no shit. He was quiet the whole game.
Actually, it wasn't his debut.
Man.
Second game.
Second game was
He
the
played
program?
he played against Spartans.
Nice. Well, nonetheless,
That's a big
welcome
key
home.
piece though. He had a big conversion
He
on
played
fourth
great.
down and long.
And it,
Gary
gives
Little.
you, and it gives you a double pass opportunity. So, and he can play corner.
They
which he
brought out
did.
2 new linemen, offensive linemen.
Did have a couple
Center.
new linemen. I put that center on
Another
his
guy
ass.
played- yeah, he did.
Yeah, we're not going to act like that didn't happen. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. My bad. It was a great game, though. Boy,
Yeah, fantastic game for
I ain't
starting.
gonna lie, I was tired. We were surprised. They kept it close. Ricky Miller did what Ricky Miller does.
Every
Yeah.
time.
Definitely had a bullshit roughing the passer call.
Yup.
He gets those, though.
I think he even talked to Louis and told him that he didn't even truly agree with that
Shit
one
happens.
either. Yeah,
But,
it is what it
nonetheless,
is.
it was a great game.
Excellent game.
And Fatties was fucking hitting, as always.
What a Saturday.
I'm so happy that we actually had the last game and that I could eat and enjoy a full meal.
What a Saturday though.
What a
To
great
look
Saturday.
back on.
It's a great time. Fun times. What up, pup?
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, kudos. Cheers, one more.
One more.
Damn.
I liked it.
Thank you, Ross.
Kind of mind blowing.
As we take a look at the new power rankings,
New power rankings.
starting out at number 9,
Fuck Chris Tibbs.
we got the Red Knights. They were off this week, but 0-5, out of the B bracket contention.
Oh,
Not much to really say on the Knights. Maybe they'll get their first dub this weekend. We'll see. But it doesn't look very good to start.
They're playing fucking horrible.
Oh, yeah. That's the best way to put it. Sitting there at number 8, however, is now the Tri-State Spartans, who are 1-5 on the year. The Tri-State Spartans, they've struggled since that opening day against the
Yeah.
Knights.
A .167 win percentage.
1-5 now, and they've lost 5 consecutive games since that opener. But they've been close. The Spartans have been in these games. Like, they lost to Broad Axe by 6. They lost to Ruckus by 6.
Their point differential says otherwise.
What's it showing?
They've scored 71 points.
But remember, they did have a 25-0 loss to ADR. That does skew it a lot.
They've scored 71 points and given up 103.
Remember, they did lose 25-0 ADR, though. That's
Take
the
away
one
those
outlier.
I mean, you know,
I mean, you take away that, they're still pretty close in their games. Like,
this is true. We're gonna give them the credit they deserve.
they just can't finish.
They can't. It seems like sometimes they can't even get started. To be honest, which is
Well, their offense will get going early on or late in the game. They
usually
just don't
it's
play
late.
all 4
It's
quarters.
late in the game when it's too late and they're playing from too far behind and it doesn't do them any justice because they're losing. I don't think the unit is as cohesive as we may perceive it to be.
I think there's some struggles there. I think they're a little disconnected at times.
They need some more practice
They need a kicker.
and a kicker.
I think they're a good B bracket team, but honestly,
That's gotta stink.
just not the team that they look like to be early on. Just
Too
coming
short?
up too short. That's in the end. Number 7 now is Brunswick. We're going to put Brunswick at number 7.
Brunswick deserves to be
Should.
number 7. They've got one win against the defending champions in ADR.
Yeah. at 9-0 win,
So they've
but
only played 3 games, but
they almost beat the program early on. It could easily be sitting at 2-1 right now if not for that loss to the program.
if they went out, they could be in the A bracket.
There's a very strong possibility Brunswick could do it, especially if they can sweep the Knights and the Spartans next weekend.
If the Knights and Spartans lose, oh my gosh. Shout out to more hot fire memes.
Beachley said it in the huddle at the end of the game the other day. They're fucking ready, is how he put it.
I'm
They're
excited.
ready to shock everybody.
I think they can do it.
We'll see how it
I'm
goes. the
glad
rest
we
of the
played
way.
them when we did.
Yeah, got that shit out the way.
Man was inspired to.
Number 6 is now the program.
Program moving up.
Program moving up. I'm
2 and 3 on the year.
No, well, the program's actually going to stay at 6.
Staying at 6.
Let's stay in at 6. Now that I think about it, they were number 6 last week as well. Valiant effort against the Warriors overall. They put up a great fight, but at the end of the day, they just came up a little short, and that's kind of been a theme for them all season. Is in their losses, they've come just short. Aside from the ADR game where they were blown out,
Currently the best team below 500.
is that how it looks?
That's a fact. Sitting at 2 and 3.
Yeah. They could become an A team very quickly, but at the same time, they
They're
have
not-
to win.
They're not scoring enough points.
That's what's really hurting them.
They're not scoring enough points. 45 points scored on the year is a third loss to Brunswick and Red Knights.
That's an average of about 9 per game when you look at it.
They need some more points.
We'll see if they can rebound. And it's not as if it was a bad game against Warriors. They played excellent.
Played a great
it's
game.
just they couldn't finish.
Games are too close and they're not scoring enough to make them not as close as they should be.
Mm-hmm. Number 5, we're going to drop Adrenaline Rush to 5. 80-yard, dressing about 12 this week. I will say that was a big factor in it, but at the same time,
You don't know who's going to show up at this point.
well, it's that, and you got to have better quarterback play than what you got out of Mitchell on Saturday.
Touche, because you can't
did-
sit here and act like Jacob Mitchell isn't a good quarterback.
He
You
threw,
can't sit here and act like he wouldn't start for most teams.
he threw 3 interceptions, though, against that Brunswick defense, and one was that pick 6 to Eric Jones.
I don't
He
think.
dropped a couple picks. You don't think he would start?
Can I be honest?
He's not that good.
Ross has an opinion?
I don't think he's that great. Man.
You don't think he's that
he
great?
Makes,
He can
he
play
makes
plays.
the throws
He should run more.
sometimes.
He should run more like Steve
But
Young.
I've
But
seen him.
is it the talent around him that helps?
Ooh,
Yeah.
you said it.
Because we saw Boone, like, don't get me wrong, Jacob Mitchell on TNT back in that spring of 2017, he was very sharp, he was very good. But then you saw what happened once Chris Boone came in and started that next fall. The whole offense took off to a whole other level. One that
That's
had not
Chris,
been seen.
Chris Pappy Cheat Code Boone. I mean, what are you going to do about it?
But I'm saying, like,
I think 80-yard 5 is deserving when you're talking about power ranking.
yeah.
I think it's fair at this point. For
What-
now.
I think once
Hey,
play,
you're going to get scrutiny, but I mean,
I
you had
think-
him at 7 at one point, so at this point,
I think
anything
once
is fucking
playoff, I
possible.
think once.
Impossible is nothing.
And it's just for this week. It's just for this week. Once playoffs kick in, I feel like ADR could be showing something.
But statistically, they could end up a B team this year, or close to it.
We'll see.
No, it's a fact.
There's a possibility, but
it is a
we
possibility.
shall see.
We shall see. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying for the probabilities out there. Who's it for?
Ruckus, who I will give ADR credit, they did defeat Ruckus. However, Ruckus stepped up this week in a big way against Broadax. They really impressed. They really showed out. They came out there looking the best they ever been. TJ Williams showing out the form he showed with Survivors back in 2016 when he rallied them around. I feel like he'd be the same kind of spark for Ruckus, especially if they're trying to make a run to the A bracket.
Second best scoring team in the league currently.
That's crazy to think about.
Considering TJ's only quarterback 3 games.
Yeah. And in the 3
And
games,
they're
they
scoring more points with him at QB, so if you want to talk numbers, it's probably going to separate a little bit more, but it's something to look at, and holy shit, they just beat Broadax by a lot.
yeah, they absolutely smoked Broadax.
So wait,
And I felt like they could have probably taken that 80-yard
Okay,
team they faced
okay.
on that came out
so
on
Ruckus
Saturday.
is 3-3, and Broadax is 3-2, so understandably, I'm going to assume that this number 3 team is the latter, because Ruckus has.
That's what really
Worse
hurts them, is the record-wise. Yeah,
It's a 1-game difference, but
it's a 1-game difference.
at this
yeah.
point, it makes sense. So Ruckus is sitting at 4.
I'll drop Broadax to 3 for the moment. I feel like they could still be a good team. I feel like the Ruckus game put them in a spot where they weren't ready. They weren't ready for the kind of attack that Ruckus had. It had been a while since TJ and Haney had that connection.
I think.
And then it showed when you put those two together what they can do for an offense.
I think that Ruckus gave the blueprint on how to beat Broadax for the rest of the season.
They did expose them. They really did.
And from the looks of it, they weren't changing anything. So, excuse me, it could get ugly.
I think so too.
It's pretty nice. So
We'll see, because the blueprint was laid out. You put them in those long field positions, they can't run the ball as efficiently. You shut down the run, force Timmy Townsend to pass. Can the Broadax receivers step up and capitalize?
He made some great decisions, but like I said, Broadax dropped a lot of passes.
They did.
I remember at least like 3 or 4 in the first half, and I was just like, damn. And Timmy was a little frustrated, but he didn't let it get the best of him. He came back, took him downfield, and scored. Still a great quarterback. They're still
Resilient
a decent team. They're still a decent team, but that defense, you pointed it out, man. It's been a little suspect all year, so we'll see what happens going forward. Who you got at number 2?
Number 2, I got the Warriors back in that spot right now.
Thank you.
Warriors stepping
Sounds not
up
bad.
this week. They beat the program 10-6. The offense looked a little lackluster, but defensively they had a great, fantastic performance all around. Had the donut there for about a majority of the game up until the final 5 minutes when Miller broke through. And
At that
scored.
point, the league had enough donuts for the day and for the rest of the week and probably for the rest of the season and history. So,
I blame Modes for not being there. That's why we gave up points.
yeah, it was definitely Sean Mood's
It
fault.
was Modes. Moving on. But I told you we should have been number 2. Told you.
I just want to point out that the Warriors currently have the number 1 scoring offense in the league.
There's that fact too.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
And you can say that ADR and X Dogs have both played 1 less game. They both also have scored 93 points compared to the Warriors 113, which means they would have to score 26 points in their next game to catch up, which is definitely easy, but for the time being,
They have a shot considering who their opponents are.
I just wanted to put that out there because our offense is trash. So,
Yep.
you know,
It's about a C.
About C?
it's definitely like a C minus. C minus.
C minus.
C minus.
Coming in at number 1, once again, the X-Dogs still
GOAT.
reigning supreme. up
Matty
there.
Ice. Fucking Matty Ice.
I like it.
They started the decade as
Matty
champions.
Ice.
They want to end this decade as champions.
X-Dogs.
You can tell they're trying to make some kind of run late in this season.
I tell you what,
They've been living on the edge, however.
They
A lot of close
find ways
games.
to win.
Yeah, they're resilient. It's that veteran
Never
experience.
count them
so
out.
since we're talking about how teams can lose and shit,
Yeah.
since ADR's dropped the ball twice, and we already know that the X-Dogs aren't typically perfect, although they're playing perfect this season. They've taken their bumps and bruises. A lot of guys don't know that before Broadax went on that 9 championship run and ADR and AFN got that victory, X-Dogs won 4 in a row.
And that was back when there was only a fall season.
And, you know, they've always been a really good team. To that point, they've been around for a really long time. And
2002.
those guys are kind of getting old.
Yeah.
However, still pretty damn good. To that point, they didn't dress a lot of their regulars this last week against the Spartans.
They did not. They're starting to miss a few
They
bodies.
almost dropped the ball. They've been missing bodies all season. There's a chance they might be missing some the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Chile didn't show up till halftime, courtesy of a blown tire, and that might have been the only reason the Spartans had a chance. Regardless, they blew it worse than that tire. They didn't have a mechanic to fix it either. However, I think going forward, if the X-Dogs have roster issues, they might have issues on the field. Matt,
It's got to happen at some point to get the wrong matchup
yeah,
against
but
the
at some point, they still,
We saw what
they still
happened with
have to-
Brunswick and ADR
They
this
still
weekend.
have to play ADR.
They still got to play Brunswick. They still got to play program.
There's a lot of tough games at the end of the season.
Those are the last 3 games,
Still,
actually.
that's their last 3 games, but I just mean in general. I mean,
Yeah.
ADR still got Broadax and the Knights. I mean, and X-Dogs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure one more? Or is that it?
They also have Red Knights.
And Red Knights. I mean, that one. But there's a lot that can happen these last couple of weeks. So, I don't know, man. I think they're beatable. We almost had them. It's going to be a crazy finish. Remember that one time when Market Street Mayhem was here? And it was like a three-way tie in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
It's looking like that. Like I said, ADR could end up at 5. Statistically. Realistically, 3-4. They could drop to 5.
I think so.
Shit could get crazy.
We'll see.
I think they finish at 4.
It's going to be a long rest of the season.
Let's,
Don't we have a tournament coming up?
we do, but let's talk about this week's games first.
Yeah.
Starting out with the 10:30 a.m. kickoff, it's going to be Brunswick and Broadaxe.
Brunswick and Broadaxe.
This is a very lopsided series. Brunswick has never came close to beating Broadaxe in their history. In fact, the first game Brunswick ever played was against Broadaxe, and that was a beatdown of a 47-0 caliber. A game which you played in, Tyler Spencer, back in the fall of 2017.
That was probably a really fun time.
Brunswick dressed 9 players that day, and one of them was a guy who was a wide receiver player for my dad in the 90s playing center for Brunswick.
Holy shit.
It was not pretty. Brunswick was just annihilated. But since then, they've gotten a little bit better against Broadaxe, but just haven't come close to beating them yet. Ross, what do you think of this matchup?
That's Tyler first. I want to hear what Tyler has to say.
You want to hear what Tyler has to say first?
Yeah.
What's
Bro.
Tyler got to say?
Brunswick could win.
You think so?
How can you say they couldn't?
I mean, after last week,
I mean,
they could
Broadaxe
do
just lost to
anything.
Ruckus and Brunswick just beat ADR.
If you can carry momentum
All I'm
from
saying,
week to week, I have to go with Railroaders.
I think they got a game breaker stored at this point. Like some NFL street shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got a game breaker stored, like locked and ready. They're gonna start the game with a fucking game breaker and just go boom. Do some fucking crazy shit.
I'll go with the Railroaders, man.
You're going for Railroaders?
Yeah.
All right. Tyler?
Everybody is gonna follow the Railroaders train. I just want to flash back to the time that we won a game together and I coached them in the playoffs.
Was not
And that was their last win till they beat ADR on Saturday.
Bro, I'm telling. Listen, fuck it. I'm picking the Railroaders. I'm picking Brunswick.
I remember when you tried to coach them against the Warriors.
I did try to coach them against the Warriors. They didn't listen.
And it didn't work.
It would have worked, but they didn't listen. That's flashback. That was
Good times. And that's when the streak started, too.
Good times.
I personally think that while Brunswick will put up a fight early on, that Broadaxe is a little bit more physical and deeper in the trenches.
Shit.
That Broadaxe will be able to run the ball against Brunswick.
Who
I feel
shows
like
up
you're
for
gonna see a fist
Broadaxe?
fight.
This year is such a hit or miss on who's showing up on people's
Don't get me
rosters.
started with the who's showing up thing. Like, that does mess with the predictions because you don't. If I had realized ADR was coming with 12 and the way they looked,
That's why
I wouldn't have been so confident last
Well,
week.
I'm going with Railroaders right now.
Railroaders dresses the same 25
Going
and
with
we.
Brunswick. I'm gonna start calling this Brunswick. I'm going with Brunswick.
You guys got Brunswick. I'm gonna go status quo. I'm going Broadaxe.
Status quo.
I feel like the boys in
Good
blue
choice.
come back strong and they pull it off.
Good choice.
It's just all going to depend on how Brunswick
Still
defends the ground game.
60-40. If I'm not 50-50, I'm 60-40.
It's a pretty close game.
60%.
Who would have thought that you would ever be sitting here contemplating who wins between Broadaxe and Brunswick?
Right.
Strange times we live in, indeed. Second game of the day is Program X Dogs. Program only has 2 wins all time against the X Dogs. Actually, fall of 16 and 18. They beat
Here we
them.
go
Other than
again.
that, the X Dogs have had the advantage.
Here we go again. Program could win.
I think so. It all depends. What do the X Dogs draft?
Who shows up? We gotta fuck blunt talk. Who shows up? Smith's gonna make it this time? Is anyone gonna dress more than 13?
Wait, what's the next game?
Who shows up? And no one
Program
shows
X
up.
Dogs?
Yeah. Program's been playing all season with low numbers, so they're fucking
But
built
they
for
keep
this shit.
they keep finding guys that come out.
Huh?
of the line.
Exactly. So imagine what happens when they all show up.
They have a squad that they can
Who
put
shows
together.
up? Who don't get excited to play the X Dog? I hope they dress at least 20. I hope X Dogs comes with a decent squad.
Let's not forget, Program beat them last year, 10-0.
Did they?
Yeah,
A donut?
they donut them.
Stop playing.
That happened. First game of the year.
Who shows up?
Could the X-Dogs get their rushers back?
Oh my
Because
goodness.
they seem like they're running a little short on pass rushers.
This is crazy.
Are they going to have Chili?
Doesn't count when dummies are discussing it. Chris Tibbs hasn't even played a game this year, has he? Did he play one? What's wrong with this guy?
He played one.
He played one just to play playoffs? That's
I've
true
seen
Broad
another
Axe
one.
style.
Maybe
True
twice.
Broad Axe style football right
I've seen
there.
him ride the bench a little bit on
Yeah.
offensive side, on the offensive
Yeah,
side,
true.
but defensively, he's he stepped up. He got a couple sacks on the night.
That's true.
He has chances.
Yeah, true Broad Axe style. Moving on.
We didn't pick this game yet. Where are we moving on from? You're high.
Can
Get
I
out
go-
of here.
Can I go first on this one?
Yes.
X Dogs.
You got X Dogs?
Of course I did. You have to.
Why do we have to?
What's the record right now?
Undefeated.
They haven't played Brunswick yet. Or the program.
They're not playing Brunswick. They're playing Pro.
Sure. Didn't they play Brunswick already?
No, they haven't.
I'm a little scared.
You're not even paying attention, are you?
It's a long season, man. A lot of shit happens.
So,
Goodness
X Dogs
gracious.
program. I'm going X Dogs.
I'm going program.
I think that
I'm just kidding.
you're kidding.
Yeah, I can't do
Really?
it. Yeah.
You're going X Dogs.
Yeah, by a couple points. They got to kick it.
You have to.
They got to kick it.
They find a way to win.
That's how I feel about this
It's going to
game.
be like a 4 to 6 point win.
I feel like Program can put up a fight. I mean, I did see them with Adam beat them last year,
I mean, I don't
but
think-
they have to put on the kind of defensive performance they had
Program
last
hasn't
year.
been able to do shit since we took their best players. Let's just keep it real. Yeah, I went there. So now I'm just playing. I'm just kidding, man. They got ballers, bro. Tez played some offense. Carrasquillo's a fucking baller. Like
They got Ricky at quarterback.
they had a couple new linemen.
They got Gary.
you
They got
can
Ann
keep-
Smith.
If you can keep everybody together and just get the ball out, they need to find the offense. It's all about play calling. You need to find plays that are effective and quick and don't take all day to develop. They take too long to develop. Looking downfield's not the answer. Checkdowns are key. I try to tell you all the time. Nobody will listen.
So you got X Dogs still?
Yeah, X-Dogs wins.
Me personally,
6 points.
I feel
12.
like
30.
30.
Damn, I'm just kidding. 12.
I think the program picked up a fight early on. I feel like if they had the same D line as last year, they can beat them.
Who shows up? Last year, they haven't had the same D-line all year.
I'm saying if they had it, they would basically be in better shape going into this game.
Definitely.
I'd have more confidence going in. I feel like the X Dogs are going to be able to put some points this time around.
I love the fact that the program's been able to hold true to who they are, that regardless of who shows up, they still have that identity of playing tough defense. I mean, obviously, they just held us to a 10-point game, which is great. All their games have been tough all season. Like, looking back, I was like, damn, how'd they do that? You know what I mean? But they find a way. They just got to find a way to score. So, I don't know if that means getting your playmakers the ball sooner or what, but talent's there. Talent is definitely there.
I just feel like the win's not there, and I think the X Dogs this week once again pull out another close escape.
X
I feel like it could be. I feel like it could be a
Touche,
low
Whitney.
scoring defensive game.
Touche, Whitney.
I'd say something like 14-12 be the final of this one.
What'd you say, score?
14-12.
14-12. God damn it.
I think it's gonna be a defensive game.
14-12?
Yeah. I think that Ricky and Matt will put up some points on their end, but not enough to really say it's gonna be a shootout.
You know, that's
gonna
not
be
bad.
more
Yeah,
defense.
because program plays good defense and X-Dogs, he shows up.
Mm-hmm. And if the X Dogs have
14-12 is close. I'll go 17.
if the X Dogs come fully loaded with their rushers,
17-12
they
covers my spread of 4 to 6 points.
if the X Dogs were fully loaded with their rushers, it would be a case where they would shut them down completely. I feel like, but if they don't, but without them,
We can't speculate about
X-Dogs.
who's going to show up anymore. We have to go forward off of who was there last week.
and I feel like
We have to go with who's been winning the game. X Dogs.
But I mean, like, when we're comparing teams, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can't be like, okay, ADR would have won if Boone was there.
Right.
He fucking wasn't. Flat out. Okay, so if he's not there last week, you're going to assume he's not going to be there next week when you take that into your consideration. So same thing with X-Dogs not having Kensler, Judd, Brady. Chili showed up, was the only one of the, the four-headed monster, right?
Yeah.
So looking at next week, you're going to say, okay, that's the same team they're probably going to show up with. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say what if, because if you're saying what if, some teams have exponential rosters in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. So people want you to be like, oh, well, our team is better if everybody shows up. Well, no shit, but it's just like a tournament. You know what I mean? If you go there and don't have everybody there, you can't be like, oh, we would have won if everybody showed up. Well, they didn't. You know what I mean? You got to play with who the fuck shows up.
And what you have.
Exactly. And you can't sit here and say, like, on one hand, if you win with low numbers, oh, we lost with low numbers. Like, nah. It's got to be off of who showed up last week and what you just put on the table. You can't speculate and do the whole, like, this isn't a video game. You know what I mean? It's not a simulation. So people be trying to get flack, but can't be out here playing fucking favorites. Keep it whole beat.
True.
But with that being said, X-Dogs probably gets that one. So.
Got X-Dogs?
Yeah, because Matt's been there every week.
Yeah, and you gotta say, like,
Matt's been there every fucking week.
Big facts. X-Dogs.
I hope you show up with 30, bro. I don't give a fuck what you show up with because we already got our dub.
And let's move on to the final game of the day.
Who plays?
It's gonna be a clash between the Adrenaline Rush and the Red Knights. Ross, who do you got?
Who?
ADR Red Knights.
Red Knights.
ADR.
ADR wins.
Yeah, ADR wins.
Yeah. They do.
And we'll see who wins this Saturday. Tune in 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time for kickoff. As the first game of the day will be Brunswick and Broadaxe live on Y2 Sports. For Ross Collins, T. Spence, I'm Joey Blaze saying have a wonderful night and fuck your team.
Bada bing, bada boom, bada da 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 da.